My name is Rex. Welcome to the TIborasaurusRex channel. I am going to be telling you about what we have been learning on the TIborasaurusRex Patreon channel. And if you spend $5 a month, you will learn everything I have learned over a series of years of fighting in the octagon, learning how to not die. And I will smack you upside the back of the head if you do not do the basic things that make you survive. Pretty scary, huh? Kind of ferocious. Oh, I give myself a brain aneurysm doing that kind of stuff around here. Pretty fun. Did you guys ever watch WWF wrestling? Oh, I have. We used to launch each other off of the top of the bookshelves and just copy every single move that we saw on TV when the parents were out in the other room drinking coffee, playing Monopoly. Oofta. Welcome. We are going to talk about the important things that we have been talking about that you might have missed on the Patreon channel, but I'm going to share some of it here for you guys so you can see the context of what we're talking about. This is the actual stuff that we all miss, okay? This is the stuff that we actually do need to know and the stuff that we do need to execute. You know, just knowing is not even half the battle. It's not. It's like knowing is the first surface of contact of the battle, right? Knowing information about what to do, right, is a start. Knowing is like seeing what the right direction is. Doing the right direction is a whole nother deal. So you can know more than Rex about X, Y, Z. However, if I actually take 3 steps in that direction and you never do, even if I know less, I got farther, see? So it's about what you're willing to dabhar or execute in real life with your right hands, okay? If the instructions that are ancient, time-proven methodologies don't make it, see, the process is between the frontlets of your eyes first. What's that? Your brain. Then it goes up to the part that moves stuff. And then it goes into the thing to move the muscle. And then your right hand will go and do the stuff that we're told we need to be doing. So what are we doing on Patreon? All right. First lesson, I'm going to read the lessons we went over just in June. Now, you can just kick back, grab yourself some coffee. You don't need to commit to nothing. I'm not even telling you to. In fact, if you don't think you should, then you shouldn't. Okay? But if you're curious, here's what we're doing. We went over a valuable ancient lesson that was over 3,000 years old that was talking about some basic concepts. Now, you guys might say, oh, it's very basic, Rex. Yeah, it's basic, but then how come no one's doing it? Okay? Leviticus 26. What would you imagine the gist of the lesson is? Did you guys know? Now, hold on. Listen. Did you guys know that it's not about knowing about good and evil? The knowledge of good and evil and the fruit of that knowledge, what direction is appointed? Okay? If you just know about the good stuff and don't do it, then it doesn't count. But did you know that if you do good stuff, you will reap the goodness? If you do bad stuff, you will reap the badness. Now, Rex, everyone knows that. That's for kids, Rex. Don't make me get out my Hulk Hogan gear again here. You need to listen. Because, how come everyone's expecting there to be like this beautiful, fantastic, lovely playground land that the tri-cornered founding fathers, the tri-cornered hats guys, everyone's just expecting life to be like that, but nobody's doing the good stuff, see? Only when you actually do that stuff that we say we believe does the good stuff happen. We're a generation of observers. We do not dabhar, we only logos. We only think about doing good stuff. We only identify on the external as doing good stuff. Because I stand for the right thing. I vote for the right stuff. Doesn't matter. You have to do the good stuff, or the good stuff, guess what? Doesn't ever happen. And in a nation where even the very best, like take all the guys that agree with me 100%, perfect theology, like just like me, right? Because I have the perfect theology, right? That's super important, of course. Doctrine, perfect American values. They understand the tax system. They understand the United States Constitution so well. These are my brothers. We all agree. We wear American flags. We have the cool hats. We have the stuff, right? It's not about the image, man. If we don't actually do that stuff, then we reap the badness. That's what this chapter is saying right here in the lessons that we did. Did you know this happened thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago when people came out of Egypt, a tyranny, and they just expected stuff to go hunky-dory? And they're like, hey, man, if you go and act like Pharaoh and the way they did stuff over there, you're going to reap that fruit. It's going to be terrible. You're worrying about the king. You want to do stuff like they do over there? Then stuff is going to continue to suck like it does over there. But we love you. We love you, Lord. Well, then do the stuff I said. Well, we know what you said. I know. Are you going to do any of it? No. Well, then none of the good stuff's going to happen. You're going to end up homeless and wretched and poor and naked and all that kind of bad stuff. See? Very basic, but yet, how backwards is it that we all demand the good stuff? We want our elected representatives are bad. Well, what did you do that was actually good? See what I'm saying? We all need to jump back on and go in the right direction and manifest these things with the work of our hands. The miracle that he sends first, a lot of times, is like us listening to his instructions. Does you guys ever occur to you? Ever occur to you that we just need to listen to the instructions? How about this one? Second lesson we did last month, we did a bamboo series. This is top secret. You can't know about this. Brothers initiated this series of training. Man, I don't know what I'm allowed to. I'm not really allowed, probably. I didn't ask them how much I can say here at this level. But basically, we're discussing the grip that propaganda, particularly media, has on our soul that we don't understand. So we analyze a music video, the Black Sabbath, the Wizzard. And I go through how to interpret pop culture and actually categorize, inventory, and assess what is really going on. What are the mechanisms of control? How does the appeal vector come? I'm a musician. I've recorded music. I know all about that deal. I know how to artistically craft stuff to make it all beautiful and whatever sounding, or maybe not lately when I'm singing on the acoustic. I'm getting older and crustier. But we go over that. So if you're interested in that, it's a deep dive into the psychology and the mechanics of music programming, particularly music videos, and how they jack into your brain with colors, frequencies, sound, and sense religiously to reprogram you. Be careful when you're listening to music. And what would you have? Black Sabbath ain't near as scary as a lot of the goody-goody two-shoe bands you guys like. Oh, Rex, I only listen to contemporary, beautiful, loving music. Some of that stuff is horrific. Got to actually be able to read. You got to have eyes to see. Hey, another lesson we did. We talked about trigger words, beliefs versus actions, and verbs versus nouns. You know how I can tell who is susceptible to the propaganda drops from the airplane from the enemy? I'll say certain trigger words that only exist because the enemy told us they do, right, in a certain context, and there will be a very specific recipe of reaction that you will have based on hearing a certain word. And I can tell exactly which pipe you are smoking. So we talk about that. This is the stuff you actually need to know to survive 2024. You guys imagine yourself in the woods with an axe, and you're going to make a log cabin out there. Or you imagine yourself with a cowboy hat playing Bonanza, reenacting Bonanza out in the Badlands. This shit ain't going to happen. This is going to happen first. This is happening now. You are already in tyranny. You're already in war. And these trigger words, yeah, that's what the left does, Rex. The right is just as susceptible to their favorite trigger words. Want me to say a few of them? I go over a list of highly controversial terms that would trigger most of your standard people that would identify as being patriotic and God-fearing. Why is Rex always picking on the patriotic, God-fearing guys? For the perfection of the saints. Sharpening the sword. Okay, that's on the expert level on Patreon. Space truck from Pluto, that's on the VSL level. I'm not going to talk about that. Space truck from Pluto. RX Classroom, that's our pointy objects class. Tier 1 conversation on cartridge selection concepts with survival applications, weapon systems. So 18 Bravo experience, sniper experience on weapons selection, okay? On cartridge selection concepts, how to think about selecting the right long-range equipment, okay? Super, super high-level training for rifle stuff. Very high concepts. You guys might not think so. You're stuck in a paradigm if you don't know what you don't know, see? And so I would advise you, if you're into that world, this will blow a lot of one of the core principles of his training specifically, and we worked on this particular video together last month, is to shatter paradigms. A lot of us inherit paradigms. We don't even know there is a paradigm. You have to dig under the topsoil and find, oh, what the hell, the foundation of everything I believe is built on something that was crooked. I didn't know that. In the Zulu training class, we did the Zara Meg model, social and physical proximity, distance, and altitude, talking about how to reduce your conflict potential in the world as a man of high values, high standards. If you guys are trying to survive with your people, whether you be in a church, a family unit, or a mag, or whatever you want to call it, man, there's new words every day for that stuff. You have to understand the dynamics of how you're going to interface with or not interface with the world around you. And if you don't know the appropriate vectors of how to do that safely with the proper protective equipment, the proper operating system, proper bylaws for your group, you're toast. Okay? That's in the Zulu level. Another training lesson here we had was XPE001. I'm not going to say what that is. That's a training exercise. We do exercises over there. Another classroom presentation notice for more official training. I'm not going to talk about it here. I bet you'd pay your taxes was one we released last month, talking about the bear trap that the bots do on YouTube to trigger you. By the way, that's hand in hand with the trigger words deal. Did you know that there's bots created not just by Putin, but there's bots created by our guys too, and who knows what else, that try to tempt you to revealing your position. It's like walking out in the field and there's like sneaky guys with ghillie suits like trying to sneak up on you. And you go up there and be like, hey, you guys are all impotent losers, or whatever, right? And just start like insulting them, and then they just run out. And then you're like, oh, there's one. You guys, when you emote in the comments, that's what you're doing. You're revealing you're not Snoop. It's funny. Funny. Did you know they actually, I heard, did that during the war? The war, which war, Rex? All of them? Literally driving through town? Okay, all of these elite guard troops ran home, took off their uniforms, threw them over their things, put on Levi jeans, ran into the city. Let's just drive through the city with a microphone saying, all of the elite turbo guards from the certain unit are stupid and dumb, and you're stinky. No, I'm not. And they run out of their house, literally, how dare you? Like, there's one. Like, that's how they roll, man. I'm telling you, they do that in the comments section. If you guys don't know this, you're like, Rex, did you hear they're putting certain colored dots on mailboxes, marking people for the day when they're going to come capture them? Yeah. Of course they would. And how do you think they decide who is what color? You guys, just like, if you're untrained, if you just assume you know everything because, like, I watched a lot of news this week. Oh, boy. You need to invest in your training. Join us on Patreon, okay? Yes, this is a giant, huge, steaming teaching commercial. I'm teaching you the TLOs, okay? You're getting a lot of value here. How about this one? Another exercise decrypting some music from Ween among his tribe. And you might be surprised what my reaction is to that one, because it seems like just a nice, wholesome experience. And tell you the sinister level of the spiral eyes, anyone trying to get you to be over-relaxed by inducing algorithm through a musical state on you, like they do at certain outfits that I'm not going to mention. You might want to be careful about that, because why? Like, anyone wants to, like, hey, come in the alley here. I'm just calm down. Just go to sleep over here in the corner. I'll make sure everything's good. Like, I'm going to wake up with no kidneys, man. Ugh, right? I already know that, Rex. Well, then why do we all do it? Got to invest in your training. RX Classroom discussion on D-Day. That discussion was rated PG-17. Appreciation to soldiers and warnings to pipe smokers. Propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego. That's a very special upload for the RX Classroom about a D-Day and one of my mentors who was there and what he taught me. Right? Got to pass these lessons on, or you got to learn the hard way again. Okay. How about this one? Man of the House. We're doing a Man of the House series. You guys want to know how to be the man of the house and have a household that is being managed effectively and in a proper way, in the proper order of things. There's a lot of guys that have a hard time with that because of the way we were raised, particularly in school, and a lot of people seem to have weak parents or something, and they never seen a good father example. So I go through the details on what it's supposed to look like based on ancient time-proven methodologies, I'm going to call it that, and what our role actually is, but where, like, the strategy for what to do. So here we talk about there's three things that a husband is responsible to do in his marriage, and if he does not execute all three at the same time, then marriage does not really even exist. And he cannot cry when she turns into a Jezebel or something, and all that kind of stuff. And some of these lessons are really, really hard, but they're very true, and I hope very helpful. I know some of the guys participating are appreciating those, okay? We have a high-level discussion on a higher training level. Photons and brothers allied to the sapphire lattice, structure of perfect instruction. There's a lot of metaphors that only appear to be metaphors in the book that are, like, really, really powerful when you look at nature. I would love to post all this stuff on YouTube, but you know what would happen? The pearls would get scattered by the swine. And so we protect that which is good by certain filters and walls. That's why they put walls around your family when they go to the church or the synagogue or whatever. They put walls around it to protect them. We put walls around ours too. I don't just put it on the street. The swine online would just scatter the pearls and they'd be lost in the comments like you wouldn't even believe. I've done it before. A lot of the stuff I've talked about in the past publicly, totally overlooked because everyone's distracted by the freaking swine that come in there and ransack the place. So there's a reason. By the way, if you actually read the book, we are told exactly how to treat certain things. We're told that we're supposed to purchase and buy wisdom and never sell it. And it's also Paul expounds on the proper value check system on some of these deals. Like, there is proper weights and measures. And if it's free, it is what? You won't value stuff that's free either, will you? That's just a basic truth. You go against those principles of truth to deliver the truth, and the truth ain't valuable and it don't work. That's why we have paywall filters. It's one of many series of different screens employed here on some of these lessons, okay? We had another lesson about swords on Zulu, metaphorically. Talk about back to the 80s format. We talk about how to rewind basically turn your house into a time machine on a regular basis. And we give you projects to do. Like, hey, for the next 3 hours, do this project, and you will very much heal a lot because it's like your house turns into like a time. Now you're you're 1985 again, when the world was a little more simple, right? Here's one that's funny. I see your shofar is as big as mine. Now let's see how you handle it. That was a funny one. If you guys don't know what a shofar is, this one's funny. Talking about what it was not invented for, what it was not used for, and what the actual function was. Like, nobody seems to understand these things. Zion, that's top secret. Can't talk about that. Okay. RX Classroom. Special Forces ELR weapon selection criteria discussion with Mr. Saw. So I bring the top experts in the world in their fields to bear, like I always have with any of the RX series training. And so that's a weapons selection criteria for ELR from a guy that actually taught the SOTIC and taught all the long range stuff that was on a hard target interdiction deal, and knows the guy that carried the Barrett, and fully qualified to discuss that, okay? Like, that's the other thing, too. Guys always hate, like, what would you know? Nothing. I assemble an incredible team, or every time we do training, like, if I want to do a certain kind of shooting, then I get the exact guy who's the top in the world to teach that part of it, okay? I respect and appreciate my elders. How about that? Is that rare nowadays, youngsters? What? You're not cool. Like, go look up the Dunning-Kruger curve and reevaluate your position on it. How about that? Zulu 57, Zara Meg model, Sayar rulers and masters. Okay, so we're talking about the function of the Sayar. You guys don't like hearing the terms about the princes, masters, and rulers that are in the book. Okay, resting is not an option. Talk about that. I'm going to go through a little more quickly now. We lust for unclean power and Luciferian instruction. Okay, discern written propaganda. Written propaganda. So we all have a lust for unclean power and Luciferian instruction. Talking about a lot of these books that a lot of people get into, like, that teach you how to be Machiavellian, or teach you how to, be more sinister, or teach you how to gain more power. That's Luciferian. That operating system is incompatible with the most time-proven one. That is short term. These empires that execute those operating systems last a short time. So if you're all about lasting a short time, then go ahead and do all that stuff. If you want to last a long time and set up systems for your family that are a long time, then you need to set up a different kind of operating system. And be careful what books you read. And gosh darn, you guys got to be careful. Rifle tip 021, that's pretty funny. We talk about basic 30-second or 60-second rifle tip videos. We talk about the severe avenger of spiritual adultery. Man, oh man, oh man, you guys have no idea. We only read the parts of the book we like. We don't read the parts that scare the hell out of us. We need to train more under him, the master. Man of the House, Part 4, Dynamic Protection Beyond the Three-Dimensional. You have to be fully present in your commitment. I don't want to preach on that too much here and beat you over the head with it. Man of the House series, that's on VSL. If you want to do Patreon, then come to the VSL that's kind of the beginning of our training grade stuff. The other stuff is still fun. The $5 level, that's more of an appreciation thing. But if you want to train, sign up for the VSL level. How about this one? Verses, commentaries, and studies. We had a question on hey, what's the best way to go through commentaries for our Bible studies, and we'll try how to interpret verses better. And the whole question, we bulldoze it, is a paradigm. We're not supposed to read verses. Who the heck reads a book in verses? It's not. You disembody it from the context. It can never make sense. And what is the purpose of your study in the first place? Is it to gain hierarchy over your brother? 99% of the time it is. The function of your study is more important than how you do your study, because you can know everything about good and evil and absolutely be on the wrong side. Right? Did you know that the devil knows every verse in the Bible probably 10 times over in every language? Never occurred to us. The Elohim of math, physics, and matter. We talk about the physics of thermodynamics and how that is in the book and how it corresponds to scientifically outlining the definitions of constructive behavior and love. We talk a lot about the science there, and how the real science, how the universe is actually put together, is almost word for word identical with Bereshit 1, chapter 1, or verse 1, right? And so on. Then we have, I'm not going to read that one. Let's see, Man of the House 5. Man of the House 5. That's one of the three things we got to do as a man to make the wife happy. And I'm not going to read it here. It's not appropriate for children. But we talk about the love hawk. Okay, believe it or not. Zulu 53. Able men. Again, we talk about defining what are the requirements of guys that are going to... Everyone wants to be in charge all the time. Everyone wants to jump into the position of authority, but like totally evade the responsibility attached to that authority. Anyone who's ever done actual real leadership stuff in real life understands that with authority, there's huge responsibility. Roger? So we talk about the biblical parameters given from Jethro to Moses on how that works, how that plays out in real life. Very important to understand how to set that up for your mag. If you don't have the able men properly identified to manage certain parts of your mutual assistance group, your group is going to suck. I bet you with the tiniest amount of pressure, almost every cohesive group, including most of your churches, unfortunately, are just going to fold like freaking dominoes with the smallest amount of pressure. You've already seen it 3 years ago on a lot of them, didn't you? Or the high values, departments of this and that. Like, man, people that say stuff so cheap, talk is so cheap. A little bit of pressure, everyone folds and goes straight into like brown shirt mode. Or they just lose it, or they turn on you. Like, it's crazy, right? Like, I've learned this the hard way. A little bit of pressure on guys that were pretty good. I thought they were good. A little bit of pressure. Like, what? Wow, that was important for me to learn early, right? Got to be careful, guys. Identify threats to survival. How do you inventory and assess that? In reality. And are the threats you are thinking are the threats to your survival actually real? Are they your actual real threats? No, not usually. It requires training. You cannot possibly learn some of these things solo. What are the rules here at Rex? The TIborasaurusRex training channel. No more flying solo. We work with the buddy system. True story. You have to have someone spot for you. You have to have accountability and pressure, or you never really advance. Only your pipe smoke advances. The paper tiger gets bigger, and that's it. Okay, more stuff there. Fear of World War III contagion. We talk about that. We talk about Cain and Abel, bark on command, hit that pipe. Right? That's a pretty heavy one there. Using filters to vet a new fellowship group. Oh, so-and-so seems really nice. They say stuff I agree with. That's not your filters. You guys need to watch the filters series that is on the VSL level. If you don't execute filters in your life, you'll lose your children and your family. You'll lose them. You'll lose them to the world. I'm telling you, look it up. Look at how many people, I know some of the best men I know had that happen to them. Hard earned, man. This is very important stuff. And you just put on, it has to be protected. There is a fence around the information. So join us on the VSL level, using filters to vet a group. RX Classroom specialty configurations and general precision characteristics for pointing objects. Talk about the mechanics of that. It's still a really good metaphor, the whole rifle thing, right? How about this one? Identify actual threats to survival. Another one, enable men of Elohim. I'm going to skip a few here. Why you don't have to be scared of the bad guys that they put on the news to scare you, the boogeyman. What's the boogeyman this week, guys? You tell me. What's the boogeyman? I don't know. Is it Putin? Is it China? Is it some guy with a green thing on his head? I have no idea. Do you need to be scared of him? Not if you understand where to look at statistics and find out that armadillos and white-tailed deer are more scary than that if you look at the statistics. See, we're all preparing for, like, what if my house gets overrun by elephants, Rex? What if the circus down the road, all the elephants come? I better spend all my life savings fortifying my house against elephants because I saw a movie about elephants. They put it on repeat on TV. Animals gone bad. The circus when the elephant was loose. That's why I bought an elephant gun and have an elephant gun in every corner of the house, Rex, in case a freaking elephant comes around here. You hit it with a 416 Rigby. Poof! Here's my 458 lot. I know everything about elephant guns, Rex, and I'm ready for them. But what about the actual stuff that's going to be dangerous, like a flat tire in a blizzard? Just as a funny example. All right. Man of the House, Part 6. The What Every Boy Needs to Know About Being a Man speech. Just a part of it. BSL level. Rex's piety police is vicious, examining modern-day witchcraft. You ever run into the church lady that's just really concerned about winning the contest of being most alert about all the different forms of witchcraft? We need to read these words more carefully and then apply it to our lives too, see? It's not just talking about, like, we all pick stuff that other people are doing and say that's witchcraft. Meanwhile, we're straining the gnats and swallowing the camel. Like, there's a camel in here. Yeah, don't worry about the camel, but I got the gnats out. The gnats are this big. The camel is as big as this room. What, they just hypocrisy? So we talk about modern day witchcraft. That's a funny one. How about modern farming? What? Maybe, how the way we grow our gardens, the way that we treat our animals, that's modern day witchcraft. How about medicine store? How about that? How about automobiles? How about the way we communicate to each other? There's a lot of witchcraft that is sinister and terrible and is ridiculous that we ignore because we think it's benign, but it's actually not. It's more destructive than the stuff everyone's focused on, right? Tesseract 5x5, no stealing. Well, that's pretty basic. Everyone knows that, Rex. Really? Look at it in more detail. There's a lot of latitude covered by that commandment. And everyone who, how about this? I know people that are goody-goody two-shoes, grew up in a church family, and they're freaking stealing all the time. And they say they're the ones that are worried about people cussing, worried about people acting too gruff, or like, so-and-so drank too much wine. Rex, you drink beer. Like, that's not a problem in the book, but stealing is. How about that? Well, I never stole. Stealing 24/7. Just like stealing from stores, stealing from this, stealing from that. It's not the kid putting a candy bar into his shirt pocket. There's a million ways to steal that we white lie, we lie to ourselves on how these things are applied. You guys want to hit the center of the target that we're given in life, or do you want to just hit the periphery of the target and then miss off the side all the time? He gave us the targets because he loves us. And he wants us to increase our discipline it's called sanctification. But Rex, are you preaching works theology? Works? Are you telling me you think it's work to be loyal to Papa? That's work to you? If you think it's work to be loyal to Papa, you might be a Babylonian. Yeah, you might be a Babylonian. Sleepy Men of Elohim, that's a little bit of a prep talk. How about this one? VSL expose on the ashes at Oppenheimer Beach. Now that should scare you if you're not already scared enough the way it is. What are those nuclear missile launch guys doing out down in those holes anyways? What kind of people would want that job? Very interesting discussion. Yeah, like, you just have to watch it. Can't explain it here, too much stuff. Brewski hour, so me and Mrs. Rex, sometimes you just get to hang out in Rex's garage or Rex's living room when it's me and Mrs. Rex laughing at like 10 at night, looking at all these like new age different versions of like rocket stove heaters that like everyone like is dressed up like they're on Star Wars. And they're like, oh, we're all from Tatooine. This is Luke Skywalker's condenser machine. Like, rocket mass heater has to look like some kind of 70s acid trip every time. What's with that? Why is it that the hippies actually are on target on a lot of their stuff, but then they pollute it with their crazy styles? Funny. So we're laughing. That's comedy there. Regret and anger versus embracing your new future. We try to help each other as brothers. We offer great value there. You guys, here's one from on VSL. Clouds and Harps Actual. Talk about like, did you know that there's actually very convincing evidence that maybe that's a lot of what we might be doing when we go and sit on the cloud is strumming on a harp? Where does that come from, you think? Why did King David play harps? Technically not a harp. Probably something more similar to an oud or something. Why did King David play on stringed instrument? What were the Psalms based on? I wonder where they got that information. To just artistically make it up, or is there stuff that we're not seeing because we read way too fast? Read Genesis 1 verse 1 really slow sometimes, and then get out a calculator and then look at the hertz. That's just a dusty old book. Some guy hit his head. No, it's not. I'm pretty sure it's not. All right, how about this? Everyone running off to try to save the world all the time for our ministries. We're going to save Babylon. What? Saving Babylon? No, we're told to come out of Babylon. Literally, that's what our orders are. In the last days, you're not enter into Babylon, my people, and tell them to be good. Like, no, it doesn't say that. It says to come out of her, my people, because I'm going to come and punish her. So are we supposed to save Babylon, or are we supposed to execute Lane's authority and witness, like Brother Saw talks about? I'll leave a link to the channel below, okay, for who I keep referencing. Very good training program there. That's where I go for my training, okay? If you're wondering where a lot of it comes from. My elders! We've got lots of elders, really good ones. Gosh darn it, you guys. How about this one? Man killed by lightning on beach while warning others of incoming storm, police say. That was a news article that I really preached to me. I'm like, that's incredibly powerful. Man killed by lightning strike on beach while warning others of incoming. You can't preach safety if you're not being safe yourself. Obviously, right? There's a nuke headed for the city. Let me drive there and tell everyone they're about to get toasted. Like, no, you drive in the opposite direction and then use the phone. WrestleMania 24. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Oh, yeah, this is basically, we all know that already. You know how many permutations of that we miss? Super important series. That one's on the $5 level, the expert level, okay? So that one's very accessible. But you have to do the first exercise to participate. How about this one? Play that funky music, white boy. That's a good one. Complete. I'm just going to go through fast now. The complete works of Flavius Josephus. We talk about that. Dwelling in falsity. Another permutation of thou shalt not lie. If you're dwelling in a state of falsity, putting off the vibe that you know what I mean? Be careful, guys. Like, he hates a haughty look. He hates a proud look. He hates that hyper confidence that we value in America. Like, it's really cool to be like a really, really, you know what I mean? He's not entertained by that, really. Talk about the lesson of the Leonard Skinner song, Simple Man. We talked about the eve of destruction yesterday. So, if you guys dig what is going on over there, join us. I'll leave a link below. If you do sign up, you can do it annually. It'll save you 16%, I believe, and plus more of the money actually is channeled towards me to support the operation, and you save 16% as well. So they cut out a lot of the in-between fees because there's less transactional bandwidth being taken up. So I'll share a link below. If you do sign up annual, it's a little better. Thanks for listening, guys. Rex out.